Hi, welcome back. This will be part 10 to What If Deku Was Born with a Hybrid Quirk? In the last part, we had went over a training session with Kirishima and Ashido. And Ashido learned a few things from the pro that was there. He's not a famous pro. He's like some CEO. He's like some C-lister. So he helped Ashido with her quirk, gave her a few pointers, and then Izuku's kind of helped her refine her fighting style a little bit. And he realized that Kirishima would actually went a little overboard on the weight training that he had planned for him. And he told him that you no longer have to do it, now just work on your quirk itself. Basically, he explained that you needed your body strength up so much so that way you can actually train your quirk to a point. And he basically told him until you get your quirk caught up with your strength, you shouldn't be increasing your strength anymore. Because in Izuku's mind, he's wanting Kirishima to get to the point where he can use his quirk and still move. Basically, his quirk having the same strength as in the basically his quirk being his quirk strength being strong but flexible so that it can move. But with, like I said, him and Denki, it's getting back to the story with Denki. So Izuku's no man, you are a friend, I do consider you a friend. It's just coincidentally every single time I've hung out with you, it's either been with either Shinzo or Kirishima's been with us. And we've never really hung out when it's just us two. So I was thinking maybe I could help you out with some training with the sports festival. And so basically for the next couple of days, Izuku's kind of helping him out, basically teaching he asked Kabanari more about his quirk and stuff like that. And Izuku he's oh, so your body can produce up to X amount of electricity. And Izuku's that's kind of cool. And Izuku's I kind of have something like that, but it doesn't produce nearly that much electricity, and I don't think your quirk could really work the way my quirk works. But the electricity is kind of a side effect of one of my enhancement quirks. And Denki's kind of wait, what? You have two enhancement quirks? And he's yeah, I have one that is just pure power enhancement, and then I have another one that just enhances all my natural abilities overall. It's kind of weird, and I can't really use them in congruent with each other too often. The superhuman one that does all my that enhances all my base abilities. It's permanent. I can't really turn it off, but the other one I can turn on and off. But if I use it too much, it can pretty much fry my muscles and my body, and basically I can break myself if I use too much of its power. And Izuku's your quirk seems to work out similar to mine. So how about this? Turn your quirk on, like not full power. Turn it on like at 5%. Like let the electricity at like 1 to 5%, like just flow through your entire body. And what we're going to do is we're going to meditate, and you're going to try to hold it as long as you can, like hold that electricity before you feel like you're going to pass out. And you just keep doing this, and it will build up your tolerance to electricity. So after like 2 days, Kaminari can basically hold that percentage at the thing. And then the day before, Izuku kind of he tells him that, okay, now just release all of that electricity again. And he's like, that's kind of a bad idea. Like, I can like short circuit my brain and everything. And then Izuku kind of starts like ticking off Denki, calling him stupid, like you're worthless, you're not ever gonna, like, so then you kind of wasted my time, like why did I even try to help you out? And then starts ticking off Denki. And so he unintentionally, like when he goes to punch Izuku, he throws a 1 million indiscriminate like volt punch. And it just hits Izuku, and Izuku like kind of like takes the shot to the dome on purpose. And he's like, oh geez, like dude, that kind of hurt. And like he's basically getting that kind of electrocuted a little bit. And then Izuku's like, oh, okay. And he stomps the ground and sending the electricity through his body, like directing it out his body. And he like looks at Kaminari, and Kaminari's like yelling at him. So like Denki like yelling at him. He's like, how can you say that? I thought we were friends and everything. You're nothing but a jerk. And then Izuku's like, dude, calm down. Do you realize what you just did? And then Denki's like looking at himself, and he's like, wait, I'm not stupid. And Izuku like kind of smiles, and he's like, see? And then Denki's like, but I feel really tired. And like he goes to collapse, but Izuku kind of like runs up and catches him. And he's like, see, man, like, if you build your tolerance up enough, you can use that. You can use your quirk at its full power as much as you want, and then you can learn to, like, direct it better. Because right now, you have a very powerful quirk. It's just that your body can't handle the power yet. Kind of like mine with my enhancement quirk. And Izuku like powers up to 100%, and there at the beach, he like the day that he called Denki, he kind of went down to the office, to like the courthouse and like the city to like talk with them. He kind of like asked All Might to come with him to kind of vouch for him and everything, and he got special permission to use his quirk, for him and Denki to use his quirk on their property at the beach, on his property at the beach. So that's where they've been training. And Izuku just throws one punch out to sea, and Denki just like sees this massive, like feels this massive shockwave and like this torrent of wind head out to sea. And then Izuku holds up his arm, and it's kind of like broken, and like his skin's torn. And Denki's like, dude, are you okay? And Izuku's like, oh yeah, this is fine, but you see, my body can't handle my power yet. And so that's what's basically going on with you. You just need to build up your body's tolerance to your 1 million volts, and it seems like your body's not used to the voltage. It's kind of like my brother Kotsky. Like, his body when he was younger couldn't withstand his explosions. Like, his power was stronger than what his body could handle. And it took us years for us to, like, actually use our quirks properly to where we wouldn't hurt ourselves. So basically, your quirk is overloading your nervous system. So if you meditate while pulsating like electricity through your whole body, you can build up a resistance to your electricity. And eventually you can use your electricity at full power, and then eventually reduce the stamina drain on using those big attacks. And Denki is just looking at Izuku. He's like, dude, are you sure you're okay? Because your arm's broken. And then Izuku is like, oh yeah, like it is broken, but like, watch this. Izuku just kind of like takes the knife out of his hand, and he kind of like just scrapes it, like one of his fingers with it. He pulls like the knife out of his pocket a little bit, and then just cuts his hand, and then puts his hand on his arm, and he breathes in, breathes out, and on the second time, he's like, damage displacement. And like his arm looks back to the way it was. It's just a little, like he has a little bit of bruising throughout his arm. And Denki's like, dude, what did you just do? And Izuku's like, well, this is something that I've kind of been working on to kind of redirect damage throughout my entire body that I have. It's basically like what I do now when because basically when you see me heal people, I technically don't have a healing quirk. It's just I can absorb the damage that someone has taken and absorb it into my own body, and I've learned how to displace all that damage throughout my entire body. But with my enhancement quirk, it's just too strong. And even if I one of my quirks abilities also allows me to summon these tendrils and stuff, and I can somewhat reinforce my body to the point where I wouldn't break it, but I can only throw like maybe 1 or 2 punches or kicks at full power before like it starts to become too much strain on my body. So Kaminari's like, wow, dude, like that's awesome. And so Izuku, like your problem is your nervous system is just not used to the voltage, and you just need to build your tolerance up. So instead of going all out like you've probably been doing to like build its power, you need to meditate and just like control your electricity and just pulsate it throughout your entire body, not at 100%. And then just continually, as your body keeps adjusting and everything to it, steadily rise the voltage of it. And that way, once you can handle pulsating 100% through your body, which is basically what I've been doing with my enhancement quirk, because I start like last week, a friend mentioned it to me and everything. Like something happened and it like started to make me think, and it's like, why do I always keep this? Why do I only turn this on when I need it? Why not just keep it on at all time, and then when I need to use the power, just raise the power up? And like that's where I got the idea. Is like maybe you're overexerting your quirk on your body, and your body's just not used to your quirk entirely. Like it just can't compensate the quote unquote damage that it does to your nervous system, because it seems like after a while you're kind of okay. It's just you short circuit your nervous system. It doesn't really do too much damage because it seems like you have a minor resistance to electricity. It's just you can short circuit yourself. And I figured maybe the training that I'm doing with my quirk, a similar training for you, would work. So if you continue to meditate and just steadily rise the electricity that you pulsate through your body, that could in effect raise your resistance to the effects of the electricity that you produce. And at this point, Denki is kind of staring at Izuku after this, because he kind of, like Izuku, one of the things that really interests him is like quirk control, because of the nature of his actual quirk. So he is just sitting there, like he like going on and on like about his work, and like how he's had to think about like different ways to actually use his quirks to be able to utilize them better. And Denki like kind of looks at him and is like, dude, you really, what? And Izuku's like, oh, sorry, I rambled on again, didn't I? And Denki's like, what do you mean? And it's like, Izuku's like, yeah, like when like I start talking about quirk control or martial arts or like working out, like I kind of ramble on, and even music sometimes. But I haven't really talked to anyone about like that's into music too much. Like, and it's kind of like an odd one out. But there is that girl Jiro in class, but she seems like she doesn't really want to talk to me, so I've just kind of like not really bothered with it. Plus I've been hanging out with Choco, Momo, and Kendo a lot. And like I've recently reconnected with Kendo and Momo, and stuff's happened between those, and Dinky's like, what do you mean, man? And so Izuku kind of explains the situation to him, like how he used to know them when he was a little kid, and because of stuff that happened in his life and their lives, they kind of like lost contact. And when they came back, when they got into UA, they didn't really recognize each other. And he says, well, that's not entirely true, because I did run into Momo like a year before UA, like on accident. So, like, we talked for like a little bit, and like realized like she came to my. And at this point, like, Izuku kind of like looks down, and he's like, what's up, man? And it's like, well, I don't really like talking about it because people always treat me differently when they find out, and only like a handful of my friends know about it. Like Momo and Kendo know about it because like they knew me as a kid, and like they know reasons. And like at the point, like a tear kind of like falls down like Izuku's face, and Denki's like, "Man, it's okay if you don't want to talk about it. You don't have to. Like, I get it. Everyone has stuff that they have a problem talking about." So Denki is, and then Izuku's like, "No, it's fine. Like, it's just." You see this statue? You want to know why we can use our quirks here? And Denki looks up and he's like, "Yeah, Shield Maiden. Like, she's one of the reasons why I want to be a hero and everything." And Izuku kind of smiles and he's like, "Yeah, like she's actually the only reason why I want to be a hero." And Denki's like, "What do you mean by that?" It's like, "Well, you see, I own this beach and she's my mother." And like Denki's jaw just drops. And he's like, "So you mean you're the M, like the M in M Bagago is Midori, means Midoriya?" And Izuka like nods yes. And he's like, "Dude, that's so cool. So you took on the Bakugo's last name so people wouldn't treat you differently because you're the child of a great hero?" And Izuku's like, "Yeah, it's just because almost all the time when people find out my name, besides like the people in the area around here, because like they would see me with my mom and stuff, not so much like the younger people, but the older people do know who I am, and that's why I can like come here all the time." And it's just I don't know, like it's like most people either feel extremely sorry for me or they always ask questions about my mom, and that kind of upsets me because like I still do kind of I miss her, and it is really hard to talk about my mom. And Denki like just walks up to Izuku and kind of like gives him a bro hug, and he's like, "Yo, man, like that's totally fine, and I understand why you don't really like wanting people to know, because like it can be a burden on someone if they have a popular, a well-known hero that's in their family. It's like Ida, like people always like want him like because of his brother Ingenium. And Mizuku was like, "Yeah, like I kind of get why he didn't want to like tell anybody like who his family was and everything too, and that's why like me and him are kind of friends." Like, and Diki's like, "So does he know?" And he's like, "No." And he's like, "So who all knows about it?" And Mizuku's like, obviously my brother Katsuki, Momo, Kendo, Kirishima, because like we trained here at the beach, and then one day he asked me, like he was looking at the statue, and then he looked at me and he was like, "Yo, man, like you kind of look like her." And like I explained to him like why I look like her, and um I don't know if Ochako has figured it out yet, or if Uraka's figured it out yet or not, but soon she probably will, considering Katsuki and her are kind of together now. And at this thing, he's like, "Wait, what? They're dating?" And he's like, "Yeah." And he's like, "Kinda saw that coming." And like, he's like, "Yeah, it was pretty obvious the way that those two like behaved around each other, right?" Basically what is happening with Katsuki and Araka is kind of like what's happening in the canon, where Izuku and Araka, like, it's kind of they kind of heavily hinted that they are into each other, but they don't really act on it. But in this, Katsuki actually acts on those feelings. So that being said, like this hanging out with Kaminari, with Denki, these past couple of days has actually really helped Izuku deal with some issues that he had and everything, and he's actually started to feel something change within inside of his body because he's been doing what he told Dinky to do, and he's just been randomly throughout the day, like constantly pulsating the power of One for All throughout his entire body, steadily building up his tolerance to the power. And that's why he hasn't really been doing a lot of weight training and stuff anymore, is because he's been doing that. And it's slowly been building up his durability because of his superhuman quirk. He's slowly been training his body to where he can one day eventually use 100% of One for All. And there's a little special thing about that with another character that I'm bringing into this that's kind of an OC a little bit. But Izuku and Kaminari hang out for the rest of the day, and like they're talking and stuff like that. And so Izuku, like, he brings him over to the coffee shop and they're talking. And he tells Denki, like, how he came up with the idea. And Dinky's like, well, yeah, that's pretty cool, man. Like, I never would have thought of doing this if it wasn't for you. And Izuku's like, yeah, like, it's something that me and Katsuki, and he just stops, like, what he's saying. And Dinky's like, what were you going to say? And he's like, well, I can't really talk about it. Or at least I'm not supposed to unless you're already in the know, and like, or until like they do something about it. And Dinky's like, okay, so you can't really talk about it, but it seems like you've had a lot of training with your quirk. And he's like, yeah, like I have. And you know how we started a club like in school to where like we learn how to control our quirks and everything. And he's like, yeah. He's like, well, Kirishima belongs to that. Also, Momo and Kendo have joined, and I think Todoroki might join because of the conversation we had the other day. And oh yeah, Todoroki knows who my mom is, and he knew before I even he kind of figured it out. And like I basically confirmed it to him and everything, and we kind of talked, and like I helped him deal with some issues that he was going through and I was going through, and I'm not really going to get into that because that's his personal business, and if he wants to tell you, that's fine, but I'm not the type of person that spreads that kind of stuff. And Dinky's like, yeah, like I can kind of get that. And so they part ways, and Yuzuka says, so how do you, like on the way to the train station where they're gonna like go get on the trains that they need to take to get back to their houses, Izuku is like, so how do you feel about the sports festival? Denki says, I feel a lot better now. I was super nervous because everybody has all these strong quirks. Kirishima's always getting stronger. And I kind of figure out now. And then Denki's like, do you think I can join that club? And Izuku's like, yeah, like definitely. Like that, like the point of the club is to like do extracurricular training, like not just like what we do in school. And Izuku's like, wait a minute, like, yo, let's go over here real quick. Like, there's a gym nearby that has like this special program and everything, to where like they have training rooms where you can kind of use your quirk and everything. And you could probably like sign up for like the program. You just need to get a permission slip and have your parents fill it out and everything, and then you just bring it back. And Denki is like, dude, that's amazing. I didn't know something like that existed. And he's like, yeah, well, it's not something that he really likes broadcasting. And he doesn't really like tell people. And if someone comes up and asks him, he kind of says no. Because he uses it for his sidekicks and like his martial arts students, like his weightlifting guys that like have strength quirks and stuff, that sign up for like his weight training classes and stuff like that. So like if I come up there and like vouch for you, he'll get you a form. So like they go to the gym and Denki like gets a release form and everything, and basically in this form it waives the gym, it waives the hero like certain liabilities and everything, and like damages to like the training rooms and stuff is to be paid by the family. But because of Izuku, like he kind of has talked to the dude, and he's like, anybody that like I bring in here, like any damage that they do, just put it on my tab. So that's another reason why Izuku and Katsuki can kind of like get away with a lot of stuff. And they call him the owner like boss. So with that being said, we're coming up on 32 minutes. And I really wanted to like go over Denki because I've realized that I haven't really had him in the story as much as I have the other ones that are going to be in like a group with Izuku. Like his small group of friends. I haven't really talked much about him and Denki, and I hope this kind of really gets him into like the friend circle properly. Because the things with Izuku and Ida that happened in canon happen here, but one of the major things that I'm going to be changing in the next episode, you'll thoroughly impress by it. Because everyone in Class 1A, Class 1B have like are really coming to this with their A game. So with that, like, subscribe if you haven't already subscribed, and please leave comments in the section of what you liked about it and what you didn't like, and be nice about it, because that like there's a difference between giving criticism and being mean-spirited. With that, have a nice day.